If you're a man over 60 and your erections have become soft, inconsistent, or even non-existent, here's something no one has told you. The problem may not be your age, it may be what you're not eating. Yes, 5 missing vitamins could be the silent reason your manhood isn't performing like it used to. And the moment you start fueling your body right, everything can change. I've seen it happen in real men, just like you. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, a urologist and men's health expert with over 30 years of clinical experience. I've dedicated my life to helping older men reclaim their confidence, vitality, and sexual performance, naturally and safely. And in this video, I'm going to show you what mainstream medicine often ignores: the critical role of nutrition in erectile health. Most men assume that once they pass 60, the decline is inevitable, that they either need a little blue pill or need to give up altogether. But that belief is completely wrong. In reality, your body is capable of strong, reliable erections at any age, if you give it the nutrients it needs to function. The catch? Almost no one talks about them. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 essential vitamins, each one clinically proven to improve blood flow, boost testosterone, and strengthen your erection quality. No gimmicks, just real, science-backed information. And make sure you stay with me until the end, because I'll share a simple trick that helps your body absorb these vitamins better, so you can feel the difference faster. Let's get started. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another science-backed tip designed specifically for men over 60. And if you find this video helpful, just type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me make this content even better for you. All right, let's get into it. The first vitamin your body absolutely needs if you want stronger, firmer erections after 60 is vitamin B3, also known as niacin. This one is a game changer, especially if you've been feeling tired, losing stamina, or struggling to maintain an erection. Let me explain why. 1. Vitamin B3, niacin. Let me take you back to a conversation I had not long ago with a patient named Frank. He's 67, retired, and still very much in love with his wife of 40 years. But for the past few years, Frank had been quietly dealing with something he didn't want to talk about, not even with her. His erections weren't what they used to be. Sometimes he couldn't get one at all, and even when he could, it didn't last. He told me, "Doc, I feel like I'm disappearing as a man." Now, here's the truth I told him, and it might surprise you too. One of the biggest culprits behind fading erections, especially after 60, isn't just aging or testosterone. It's poor circulation. And one of the best natural ways to fix that, vitamin B3. Also known as niacin, vitamin B3 plays a vital role in improving blood flow by helping to relax and widen your blood vessels. That means more oxygen-rich blood can move through your arteries and reach the places that matter most, including your penis. Think of it like clearing out an old garden hose so the water can flow freely again. But this isn't just theory. Real science backs it up. A well-respected study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine showed that men with moderate to severe erectile dysfunction saw significant improvement in their ability to get and maintain erections after taking niacin daily. That's powerful. And these weren't young guys. They were men in their 60s and 70s who thought their best days were behind them. The amazing part is that many men are low in B3 and don't even realize it. That's especially true as we age, because your body's ability to absorb and utilize this vitamin starts to decline. And when blood flow is already slowing down from age-related changes, even a mild deficiency can have a huge impact. In Frank's case, we started with a modest dose, 250 milligallons of niacin per day. Within just a few weeks, he noticed something remarkable. Not only were his erections coming back stronger, but he had more energy during the day. He even told me he started waking up with morning wood again, a signal that his body was truly responding. You can get B3 naturally through foods like chicken, turkey, salmon, peanuts, mushrooms, and avocados. But in many cases, a high-quality supplement is needed to restore optimal levels, especially if you want faster, more noticeable results. Just be sure to consult your doctor first, especially if you're already on medication for cholesterol or blood pressure, because niacin can interact with some medications and may cause flushing at higher doses. From what I've seen in my patients over the years, niacin is often the first step in turning things around. It's not magic. It's just giving your body the basic tools it needs to function the way it was designed to. And here's something else I'll tell you from personal experience working with men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Once they see the difference that just one vitamin can make, they become believers. Because it's not just about having an erection, it's about restoring confidence, intimacy, and that deep, unspoken part of manhood that doesn't fade with age unless we let it. But as powerful as niacin is, it's only the beginning, because improving blood flow is just one piece of the puzzle. What if I told you there's another vitamin that not only supports your erection, but also helps boost testosterone naturally and strengthens your body's foundation for desire and performance? That's exactly what I'll reveal next. Most men are dangerously low in it without even knowing, and correcting this one deficiency could change everything. Let's talk about it. If you're still here and this message is resonating with you, go ahead and type the number 1 in the comments so I know you're with me. Now, let's keep going and dive into the next powerful vitamin you need to know about. 2. Vitamin D3. I remember a man named Harold who came into my clinic a few years ago. He was 72, sharp-minded, proud, and deeply frustrated. He said to me, "Doc, I still love my wife, I still want her, but my body doesn't seem to get the message." His libido had faded, his energy was gone, and his erections were unreliable at best. He didn't feel like himself anymore. Now, Harold had tried a few things. Over-the-counter supplements, some of those late-night TV pills, even reducing stress and eating better, but nothing worked. He was starting to believe that this was just part of getting older, that maybe desire and intimacy were things you had to let go of after a certain age. I told Harold something he'd never considered. What if he wasn't losing his manhood, but just missing a hormone-regulating vitamin? That's when we tested his blood and found his vitamin D levels were dangerously low. And that's not uncommon. In fact, nearly half of the men I see over 60 are in the same boat, and most of them don't have a clue. You see, vitamin D3 isn't just the sunshine vitamin, it's a key player in your testosterone production, your nitric oxide levels, and your vascular health, all absolutely essential for strong, consistent erections and a healthy sex drive. Without it, everything from energy to performance begins to drop. In Harold's case, his testosterone was low, his nitric oxide was depleted, and his blood vessels were less responsive, all classic effects of vitamin D3 deficiency. And yet, no one had ever mentioned it to him. We started by getting him out in the sun for 20 minutes a day. Simple, natural sunlight. Then we added foods rich in D3, like salmon, egg yolks, and fortified dairy. For an extra push, we used a high-quality D3 supplement to help bring his levels back up safely. Within 8 weeks, the change was real. Harold came back to me grinning. He said, "Doc, I don't know how to say this, but I feel like I'm 20 years younger. My body is finally listening to my mind again." That's what vitamin D3 can do. It helps restore that vital link between your brain, your hormones, and your blood flow. Studies published in respected journals, like the Journal of Sexual Medicine, confirm that men with low vitamin D have significantly more erectile difficulties and lower sexual desire. The best part? Correcting the deficiency can actually reverse those symptoms. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about chasing your youth. It's about reclaiming your function, your vitality, your connection to the part of yourself that still wants to give and receive pleasure. And it's about doing it naturally, safely, and with dignity. But here's the critical point most men overlook. Vitamin D3 is fat-soluble. That means if you take it without eating healthy fats, your body won't absorb it properly. You'd be wasting your time and money, so always pair it with something like olive oil, avocado, nuts, or eggs for maximum effect. Harold is just one of hundreds of men I've seen turn their situation around with this simple, powerful change. And the truth is, when vitamin D levels come back to normal, testosterone often follows. And when testosterone rises, confidence, energy, and erections usually aren't far behind. Still, while vitamin D3 is one of the most critical hormones to support, there's another vitamin that plays a very different role, one that most men think is just for immune health. But in reality, it directly influences blood flow to the penis in ways most people have never imagined. In fact, without this next vitamin, even high testosterone and good circulation may not be enough to give you the results you want. Let's talk about it now. 3. Vitamin C. I once had a patient named Lewis, 68 years old, retired firefighter, tough as nails. But when he sat across from me in my office, his voice lowered and his eyes dropped. He said, "Dr. Khera, I don't know what's going on. My heart feels young, but down there, it's like the connection's gone. I can't perform the way I used to." Now Lewis was healthy by most standards. He exercised, didn't smoke, and even watched his diet. But what he didn't realize, and what many men overlook, is that even when everything seems fine, there may still be something missing at the cellular level. And in Lewis's case, it was vitamin C. When most people think of vitamin C, they think of immune support, maybe a glass of orange juice when they catch a cold. But here's what hardly anyone tells you. Vitamin C is essential for erection quality, and not just because of its antioxidant power. It plays a direct role in your body's production of nitric oxide, that critical molecule responsible for opening up blood vessels and allowing blood to flow freely, especially to the penis. When nitric oxide is low, even healthy blood vessels won't dilate properly. That means reduced blood flow, weaker erections, and diminished performance. And the problem is, nitric oxide levels decline naturally with age. That's why we have to support it actively. And vitamin C is one of the best ways to do just that. In Lewis's case, we started with something simple, adding more vitamin C-rich foods to his daily meals, things like oranges, bell peppers, broccoli, and strawberries. Within 3 weeks, he noticed he was waking up with more frequent morning erections. A month later, he said his confidence was back, not just in bed, but in life. "I don't feel broken anymore," he told me. And to me, that's what this is really about. But there's more to vitamin C than just helping nitric oxide. It also supports collagen production, which keeps your blood vessels flexible and strong. That's crucial, especially as you age. Think of collagen like the scaffolding that holds your vascular system together. Without enough of it, your blood vessels lose strength. And the result? Poor circulation and trouble maintaining firmness. There's real science to back this up. Research has shown that men who consume higher levels of vitamin C tend to have better vascular health and report stronger, more dependable erections. It's not magic, it's not marketing, it's biology, and it's something your body is capable of responding to at any age, especially when it's given the right support. Now here's a tip most people miss. Vitamin C is water-soluble, which means it doesn't get stored in the body the way fat-soluble vitamins do. That means you need to replenish it daily. It's not enough to load up once a week and hope for the best. Your body needs a steady stream to keep your nitric oxide levels and blood vessels in top shape. One of my favorite morning routines to recommend? A smoothie packed with spinach, strawberries, and citrus. It's simple, effective, and gives your body exactly what it needs to start the day energized and responsive. Lewis followed that routine, and in just a matter of weeks, his energy improved, his performance returned, and most importantly, his relationship with his wife deepened. When a man feels whole again, everything around him starts to shift for the better. Still, while vitamin C helps light the spark, your body also needs protection from the silent damage happening inside your blood vessels every single day. Because even if your nitric oxide is firing correctly, inflammation and oxidative stress can quietly wear down your ability to perform. And that's where the next vitamin comes in, one they've been calling the sex vitamin for decades, and for good reason. Let's talk about it next. If you're still watching and finding this information valuable, type the number 1 in the comments to let me know you're here and engaged. All right, let's keep moving forward with point number 4. 4. Vitamin E. There was a moment during my early years in practice that still sticks with me. A man named Gerald, 70 years old, came into my office. Not for his heart, not for diabetes, not even for his prostate. He came in because he felt disconnected. not just from his wife, but from his sense of masculinity. "Doc," he said, "I don't feel like a man anymore. I love my wife, I want to be close to her, but my body, it just won't respond, and I don't know what else to do." Gerald's case wasn't unique. He was healthy on paper. He ate well, moved his body, and tried to stay active. But underneath all that, he was dealing with something invisible: oxidative stress and chronic inflammation silently damaging the inside of his blood vessels. Over time, this creates tiny cracks and stiffness in the arterial walls, including the ones that carry blood to the penis. That's where vitamin E comes in, and why I often call it one of the most underestimated tools in a man's health arsenal. You've probably heard vitamin E called an antioxidant, and while that's true, the word doesn't fully capture its power. Vitamin E protects your endothelial lining, the delicate inner surface of your blood vessels, from oxidative damage, which is one of the root causes of poor circulation. When this lining is damaged, your vessels can't relax and expand the way they need to during arousal. And if they can't expand, blood doesn't flow where it needs to. But when your body has enough vitamin E, it's like giving your arteries a suit of armor. It keeps them smooth, flexible, and able to carry oxygen-rich blood exactly where you need it, fast and without restriction. And that translates to stronger, more reliable erections, even into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Gerald's blood work showed he was deficient in vitamin E, and once we addressed that, through whole foods like almonds, sunflower seeds, spinach, and olive oil, plus a high-quality supplement, something remarkable began to happen. Over the course of a few months, he came back to life. He said, "Doc, I feel like the engine's finally running again." His skin looked healthier, his energy returned, and most importantly, his ability to engage with his wife, physically and emotionally, was restored. And here's something else that gets overlooked. Vitamin E doesn't just protect your blood vessels. It also helps optimize testosterone levels and supports the health of your sperm and reproductive organs. That's why researchers have long called it the sex vitamin. In fact, several studies have shown that men who consume more vitamin E have better reproductive function, improved sperm motility, and fewer signs of erectile dysfunction. Of course, as with any fat-soluble vitamin, your body absorbs it best when taken with healthy fats. A handful of mixed nuts, a drizzle of olive oil on your salad, or even avocado in your morning eggs can go a long way. The key is consistency. Your body doesn't need a flood, it needs a steady supply. Now, I always tell my patients that sexual health isn't about chasing youth. It's about preserving vitality, feeling connected, and enjoying your relationships in a meaningful way. That's what Gerald gained back, and I've seen it time and time again in other men who simply gave their bodies the nourishment they were missing. But here's the thing. Even if you've got the nutrients that protect your blood vessels and boost testosterone, there's one more piece you can't ignore, because none of it will matter if your arteries are blocked from the inside, silently, slowly, and often without symptoms. There's a powerful vitamin that most doctors never talk about, one that helps keep your blood vessels clear and flexible by preventing dangerous buildup, and it might just be the most important one of them all. Let me tell you about it next. 5. Vitamin K2. A few years ago, I met a man named Clarence. He was 74, sharp-witted, funny, the kind of man who never missed a story at the barbershop. But behind the jokes and charm was a quiet frustration he only shared in my office. "Doc," he said, "I still want to be close to my wife, but it's not the same anymore. It's not just the erection, it's how slow everything feels. Like the engine's still there, but the fuel lines are clogged." That phrase stuck with me. The engine's still there, but the fuel lines are clogged, and he was absolutely right. Clarence's problem wasn't about desire or drive, it was about blood flow. Not the kind of blood flow you fix overnight with a pill, but the deeper, slower kind, the narrowing of arteries, the stiffness in vessel walls, the kind of damage that builds up quietly over decades. This is where vitamin K2 comes in. And in my opinion, it may be one of the most overlooked keys to sexual health in older men. Vitamin K2 is not talked about often, even in medical circles, but it plays a crucial role in where calcium ends up in your body. See, Calcium is essential for bones, but when it ends up in your arteries instead of your skeleton, it becomes dangerous. It hardens your blood vessels, restricts circulation, and silently contributes to heart disease and erectile dysfunction. And the truth is, this calcification process begins earlier than most of us think, often in our 40s and 50s, and continues quietly into our later years. Vitamin K2 works like a traffic cop for calcium. It directs it away from your arteries and into your bones, where it belongs. In other words, it helps keep your blood vessels soft, flexible, and open, especially the ones that matter most when it comes to healthy, firm erections. There's compelling research to support this. A study published in the journal Atherosclerosis showed that men with higher vitamin K2 intake had significantly healthier arteries and better vascular function overall. Another study from the Netherlands followed thousands of people over a decade and found that those with the highest K2 intake had a lower risk of arterial stiffness, heart disease, and even death from cardiovascular events. And remember, what's good for your heart is also good for your erection, because both depend on healthy, unrestricted blood flow. Clarence had never heard of vitamin K2 before I mentioned it, but once I explained how it could help, he was all in. We started by introducing foods rich in K2, like grass-fed butter, egg yolks, certain cheeses like Gouda and Brie, and fermented options like natto, which he joked smelled awful but was worth it if it works. Over the next several months, his energy returned, his circulation improved, and most importantly, he felt like his body was moving again, faster, stronger, more alive. One thing I always emphasize with vitamin K2 is that it works especially well when paired with vitamin D3. They're a powerhouse team. D3 helps with calcium absorption, and K2 ensures that calcium ends up in the right place. It's a perfect example of how the body operates as a system, not a set of disconnected parts. Supporting one area often benefits another. Now, Clarence didn't become 25 again. That's not the goal. But he did become a man who could show up with presence, strength, and confidence, for himself and for the woman he loved. And that matters more than anything. Still, knowing which vitamins to take is only part of the solution. Because even if you get the right nutrients, your body needs to absorb them efficiently to make real use of them. And most men are missing one simple trick that can boost vitamin absorption dramatically, something so easy you can start doing it at your next meal. Let's talk about that next. 6. The absorption trick. I've seen it too many times to count. A man walks into my office with a long list of supplements. He's done his research. He's taking the right vitamins, D3, E, B3, K2, even vitamin C, and he's taking them every day, without fail. But then he leans forward, lowers his voice, and says, "Doc, I'm not feeling much different. Am I doing something wrong?" And my answer, almost every time, is simple. It's not what you take, it's what your body can absorb. This might surprise you, but even the most powerful vitamins are useless if they don't get absorbed into your bloodstream. Your body is smart, but as we age, absorption becomes harder. Digestion slows, enzymes decrease, stomach acid drops, and suddenly, all those nutrients you're faithfully swallowing every morning are just passing through without making a difference. That's where the absorption trick comes in, and I want to share it with you because it's something that can turn all the effort you've been making into real, visible results. Let me start with a quick story. One of my longtime patients, Doug, was 69 when we began working together. He was diligent, disciplined, and determined. He took every vitamin I recommended and followed the plan to the letter. But after 6 weeks, he wasn't noticing the gains he'd expected. Not in his energy, not in his stamina, and certainly not in the bedroom. I sat him down and asked, "Doug, when are you taking your vitamins?" He said, "Usually first thing in the morning, just with a glass of water." And there it was. You see, some vitamins, like vitamins D, E, and K2, are fat-soluble, which means they need fat in the digestive system to be absorbed properly. If you take them on an empty stomach or with just water, most of the benefits are lost. It's like throwing seeds on concrete and wondering why nothing grows. So I asked Doug to make one simple change: Start taking his fat-soluble vitamins with breakfast, ideally a meal that includes healthy fats. A couple of eggs, a slice of avocado, a bit of olive oil on toast, even just a few almonds on the side. Within 3 weeks, everything shifted. His energy picked up, his sleep improved, and most importantly, the firmness and responsiveness he'd been hoping for started to come back. "It's working," he told me, with a smile I'll never forget. Now, for water-soluble vitamins like C and B3, it's a different story. These don't need fat, but they need to be taken with plenty of water, or alongside citrus or fruit, to aid absorption. And because your body doesn't store them, you need a consistent daily intake. No skipping, no guessing. I always suggest my patients make a habit of pairing vitamins with food, not pills on an empty stomach. A solid breakfast or lunch with the right mix of nutrients can help your body fully utilize what you're giving it, and that's when the magic happens. Not because you're doing more, but because you're finally doing it the right way. It's a small shift, but I've seen it make a world of difference. And for men over 60, where every bit of circulation, hormonal balance, and cellular energy matters, it's not a bonus, it's essential. So, if you've ever felt like your supplements aren't working, don't give up. It may just be a matter of timing and pairing. Think of it as unlocking the full potential of the nutrients you're already committed to. This is how you stop wasting your effort and start transforming your health. Now that you know which vitamins matter and how to make them work for you, there's just one more thing I want to leave you with. It's not about the science or the supplements, it's about something deeper, something emotional, something every man over 60 needs to hear. Let's close with that. Conclusion. Over the years, I've spoken to thousands of men just like you, men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s. Some were retired military, some were longtime husbands, some were recently divorced or widowed, trying to figure out who they were again, but they all had one thing in common. They wanted to feel like themselves again, not in a superficial way, not to chase youth, but to reclaim the strength, connection, and confidence they once felt in their own skin. And here's what I've learned, not as a doctor, but as a man who's had the privilege of hearing these stories up close. Sexual health in your later years isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about showing up with energy, purpose, and the quiet power that comes from knowing your body still works with you, not against you. We've talked today about 6 core elements that can make a world of difference in that journey. Vitamin B3 to open the floodgates of blood flow. Vitamin D3 to awaken testosterone and fuel desire. Vitamin C to ignite nitric oxide and bring vitality back into every vessel. Vitamin E to protect what matters most from silent damage. Vitamin K2 to keep your arteries clear and your heart strong. And finally, the absorption trick, because all the effort in the world won't help if your body can't make use of the fuel you're giving it. These aren't gimmicks. They're not quick fixes. They're the foundation. The quiet, powerful building blocks that support your body at every level: hormonal, vascular, emotional. And once you start stacking those blocks the right way, things begin to shift. You might notice more energy in the morning. You might feel more responsive when you're close to your partner. And maybe, just maybe, you start feeling like the man you thought you had to leave behind. I've had men come back to me months later with tears in their eyes, not because they were chasing a perfect erection, but because they'd reconnected with their wives, because they felt proud again, because they stopped avoiding the mirror. And that's the heart of it. This journey isn't about proving anything to anyone else, it's about coming home to yourself. You deserve to know that you're not broken, you're not past your prime, you are still a man, whole, capable, and worthy of pleasure, connection, and strength. Aging doesn't take that away. In fact, when approached with care, intention, and the right tools, aging can bring a deeper kind of intimacy than anything you knew in your younger years. Now, I don't expect you to change everything overnight, but I hope you take one step today. Maybe it's adding a few vitamin-rich foods to your meals. Maybe it's getting outside for sunlight. Maybe it's sitting down and really thinking about how you've been taking your supplements and whether your body's actually absorbing them. Whatever it is, start small, but start. And if you've made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you. Thank you for caring about your health. Thank you for refusing to give up. And thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. If you found this information valuable, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, a brother, a father, someone who might need to hear that it's not too late. And if you want more real, practical, doctor-backed advice made specifically for men over 60, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. I've got much more to share in the videos ahead, including one on the everyday foods that might be quietly draining your testosterone. You won't want to miss that. Until then, stay strong, stay informed, and never forget, your health isn't behind you. It's still yours to build. One day, one decision, and one habit at a time. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, and I'll see you in the next one. If this video spoke to you, if it gave you even one insight you can use, please take a moment to like it. It helps more men like you discover this life-changing information. Share it with a friend, a brother, or anyone who might need to hear that better health and stronger performance are still possible. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know which vitamin you're planning to start with, or what part of today's message hit home for you. Your story could inspire someone else to take that first step.